Hi everyone, thank you so much for listening to Chordcast. I'm your host, Joelle Alexander, and I'm here with my co-host, Chris, my dude. How are you?
I'm good. Actually, much better than I was last time we recorded.
What was wrong the last time we recorded?
Well, nothing was wrong, but I'm just in a much better life position now than I was.
Yes, because we have exciting news, and we will be addressing those shortly. Chris, we have some exciting news that we will be sharing in roughly 2 to 3 minutes because we have some things to talk about before then. So we, as in Chris and I, checked out our iTunes reviews, and boy howdy, there was some feedback, and boy howdy, we're listening to you guys. So I know that Chris and I had kind of this starry-eyed dream that we'd be able to go back to how Chordcast was when it was the original kind of just the OG way that things went, which was not super great quality of audio and not inserting songs into the tracks, or when we did it poorly. And that was definitely a big part of the feedback, was that you guys missed the quality. And I gotta say, I can't blame you. And I gotta say that I can't believe that Chris and I thought that we could waltz back into what we had been doing prior to how the show had been produced for about a year. So we would like to genuinely apologize for the lack of quality in the last episode, and probably relatively the lack of quality in this episode compared to what was happening. However, hopefully it is better than the last time, just because Chris and I took a few precautions to make sure that it was. And we're going to be editing this, fingers crossed, a little bit more intently and effectively than the last one that we recorded. So definitely the format of the show is going to be different, and Chris and I are working on some super cool ways that we can kind of change that or incorporate a better platform that moves Chordcast in the direction that Chris and I want it to go. And so something in the change, or how we're going to be changing the format. So hopefully we will be having a guest on the episode. And I know that you're thinking, oh my God, this is going to be so different. You know, this isn't going to be Joelle and Chris, or this is going to be just a whole bunch of different hosts. And I can say that with confidence, that's not going to happen every episode. It's just kind of, when Chris and I got done with the Robert episode, we walked away from that and we felt really good about it. And we thought that was a really fun episode. It was really a great conversation, just because Robert is A, such a cool person, and B, he was so willing to talk about more than just his band and music. He wanted to talk about movies and pop culture and all that good stuff. And so Chris and I sat down after that and said, wow, we really liked how that episode went. We really liked the conversation. And I think part of it is because Chordcast all originated on Random Chatter, which is simply just an entertainment network. It's not specifically a Star Wars network. And so when we were on Random Chatter, we had conversations about pop culture and movies and stuff like that, because we didn't want to be just a music podcast on a network that isn't just one specific thing. So we think that bringing in a guest, not every episode, hopefully, several, a few, maybe every other one, maybe we have a month where we have a host every episode. Either way, we're really excited for that idea. We have some awesome people who offered to kind of step up to the plate and help us co-host or host, or however you want to say that, or just simply guest on the podcast. Some of them are people who are simply fans of music like Chris and I are. Some of them are musicians and bands that you guys know and listen to and that we've talked to on Chordcast. And so we're very excited for that. We're still going to be doing taste tests. Taste test is the OG, and I don't think it's ever going to go away. But for now, some of the other segments won't be returning to the show. And I would like to kind of address the elephant in the room for that. And Chris, you can grab the hook and re-yank me off the stage if I get out of line when I'm talking about this. But
okay.
Just because in our notes we're saying, we're still doing taste tests, but the other segments won't be returning for now. And part of those other segments are, one of those is torture tracks. First of all, torture tracks is kind of difficult to do with one person, because Chris and I know each other's music tastes fairly well now. And so it would be kind of difficult to kind of have it be a surprise. It's like this really cool thing. Secondly, you lose a little bit of the flavor, just having a third person in there kind of chiming and rooting the other person on or trying to drag them through the dirt like I used to do. And where this is all originating from and where all of this kind of housekeeping, change in format thing is coming from is that Chris and I are not audio engineers. I'm a marketer. Chris does something with like digging up civilizations and I don't even know his degree. He's told me his degree and his certification like a million times, and all I can just think about is like it's something with civilization and back in the past. So at the end of the day, Chris and I are two people who like to listen to music, and one time we were on the phone talking to each other about music, and Chris goes, maybe some other people would want to listen to this as well. So Chris and I aren't audio engineers. We're going to do our absolute best. And if we come across someone who is an audio engineer and wants to help us edit this podcast and possibly host, then we're going to take a look at that. But right now, we're going to do the absolute best that we can. We both have tons of life stuff going on. I have been working 60, 70, 90-hour weeks. Chris, which we're going to talk about in 20 seconds because I'm going to get off my little soapbox here. Chris has some awesome life stuff happening too. So we love Chordcast and we love talking about music and we love interacting with you guys. And so if you could just please be patient with us during this kind of under construction zone of Chordcast, that would be amazing, because in the future, and I can see it very near, things are going to be different and things are going to be awesome and better than they are now. And better because they're going in the direction that Chris and I want them to go.
I think that was very well said.
Thank you. I'm sorry. My heart rate is pounding. My face is very red because I'm like just trying to get all of these words with no emotions out, and it's very difficult. But I think just to end this whole thing again, just please be patient with us because Chordcast is here. Chordcast is here for the long run, and we are under construction, but it's going to be better, and I can promise you guys that.
And I do want to say, I know this is sort of off topic, but it's part of the whole housekeeping thing. For pretty much the past year, and this will transition nicely into my life story.
Whoa. Sorry. That was my speaker. I forgot it was on. It makes that noise.
That's the second time that's...
yeah, and then I dropped it. It was the Robert interview, remember? And I was just like... It just fell right on... It was awful. Okay, that was so embarrassing.
We can keep that in because it's like a running gag at this point.
Okay.
But anyways, this will transition nicely into my life update. But for the past year... and this is one reason why not only this podcast, but the other ones that I've been on and produce and host and all that have sort of went through flux at times, and why we haven't been able to record as often as we would like to, is because I've not been in a position like I was over a year ago to record pretty much anytime I wanted to. I did not have access to internet. I've not had access to internet like daily for almost the past year, really since last October. I've not had a decent computer. I've not had really anything. Like Joelle will tell you that we had to record some episodes of the Chordcast in the past few months with me over my phone instead of actually on a computer because I did not have access to those things. However,
Ta-da!
Now all that will be changing because I got a job in Nashville, Tennessee.
Woo!
Which is convenient because, one, its nickname is Music City, and two, and this is a music podcast, and two, it allows me to actually go back to doing the things that I like to do, one of them being hosting podcasts and producing them and recording and all the other neat things that goes along with that.
Heck yes.
So that is my big life update. And I move in like 2 weeks, which is, it hasn't hit me yet, but I know the minute that it's going to, I'm going to be like scared and anxious out of my mind and sweating and panicking and all this other fun stuff. But we wanted to record an episode before all of that because that is going to be very, very, very hectic.
Yes.
And, since I'm here, since it's, going to be public knowledge, the company that I work for actually does merchandising for people in the music industry.
Yes.
So it all adds up.
Yes. Pretty much Chris is making career decisions so he can better serve Chordcast.
Exactly. Chordcast is my top priority.
It is number one. The first thing he thinks of in the morning. The last thing he thinks of at night. Yeah. Okay, no.
But the good thing about all of this is that, I'll actually have time to set up a regular recording schedule now. And hopefully Joelle will too. And we'll be able to go back to, we never really, there was a time when we did, pretty much an episode every 2 weeks or so. Hopefully we can go back to doing something along those lines.
I feel like also, so 2 years ago a year ago we ran into this same problem, and kind of like I mentioned before, my summer essentially from June to September 1st is shot, and it's actually a miracle that we're recording right now. It's because I literally work 60, 70, 90 hour weeks, and so it's just total craziness with my schedule. And so it's awesome because as soon as Chris moves is when all of my stuff pretty much stops, and then I go back to a normal 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And so again, the running theme of this episode is just going to be, please be freaking patient, because if you can give us 1 month, like everything will be fixed.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is so awesome, Chris. I am so excited for you. Chris and I have been talking about life and kind of where we want to be, and Nashville has definitely come up in several of our talks. So excited that A, he took the initiative to actually make this awesome thing happen, and B, that he's actually doing it. I think so often people just say, oh man, it would be so cool to do X, Y, and Z. And since Chris and I are surrounded by people like this, usually it's something in the music industry. And so it's so cool that Chris is actually moving to Nashville. He's actually doing something in the music industry. It's just so awesome. Dude, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy for you.
Hopefully this means that you have an excuse to come visit and I can actually meet you in person instead of being a voice on the internet.
And just to be clear, I will only come for a concert, and I'll be like, "Yo, Chris, what up?"
Oh yeah.
But we'll be like, okay. Yep. And then here's the light at the end of the tunnel on this. Framing Hanley, hello, Nashville.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Bingo. It's gonna be. It's going to be just awesome. But yes, so there might be, what is it, a vlog or whatever? We might have like a Chordcast video episode where Chris and I are actually in the same, not only time zone, but state, town, and room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
It could happen.
No promises.
One step closer.
Yeah. Hey, he's going to be one time zone closer, which is awesome because...
And much more convenient.
Yeah, no kidding. Because it's always like, wait, 7 my time, your time? We never know. I'm so sorry, you guys, that took for freaking ever for us to get through all the housekeeping stuff. It's just because we wanted you to know we are listening to you. We read your reviews. We want to see feedback that you guys have for the show because it's yours as much as it is ours. And so thank you for leaving us reviews, even though they were so not positive and definitely were kind of like a wake-up call to Chris and I. It was helpful and it was productive, and it was very nice to be able to say, okay, wow, this isn't just going to be this perfect thing that we're doing, and it's going to be awesome. So thank you. If you have any more feedback, please leave us feedback. Leave a review on iTunes. Email us, chordcast@gmail.com. We seriously read this stuff, guys, and we seriously want to know how we can make this show more listenable, something that you're going to want to tell your friends about, not because we care about that we have, 5 million subscribers or whatever, but just because we love music and we want more people to know about it. Are we done? Can I stop talking about boring stuff?
Yes,
awesome.
You can.
Okay, cool. So now, boom, we are going to go into the fan favorite, our favorite taste test. And then we are going to go, just to give you guys kind of a heads up, we're going to go from taste test into discussion. And so the last episode was just sort of this melting pot of Chris and I missing music for 3 months and trying to talk about all of it. We're going to shave that down a little bit and just talk about some new music. And then we're also going to talk about what we're listening to. And just so you know, Chris and I are talking about new segments we can incorporate, but we would love to hear your guys' feedback of what you think are some fun segments that we could do, the two of us and possibly a guest. So keep that in mind as we go through this crap show. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Chris, what did you give me?
We're going to go with the second one here and say Not an Angel by the band City Sleeps.
Okay.
I have a story about this song.
Do you want to?
I want it. It's up to you. You can say your reaction first, so I can tell the story.
I'm going to say my reaction just because I have a feeling it might actually have something to do with your story. It might not. So when I was listening to this, I straight up thought that during some parts of the song, it was the singer from Red. So I had to Google, or I didn't Google. I got on Facebook and I looked up their band thing. And the first thing you see on their Facebook page is like exclusively on bandcamp.com. And I was like, oh, these guys are old and these guys have not been active for years. So, and that was real life and that's what had happened. I liked it. I gotta say, I definitely could see it on like the Red, Starset, Breaking Ben, Chevelle rotation playlist that's happening. I don't think I would ever be like, you know what I really want to listen to? Not an Angel by City Sleeps. But I don't think I would turn it off if it came on.
So you want to hear my story now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this song is from 2007.
Oh, boy, that's 11 years ago.
I know.
I was 11.
I was in high school,
Boy,
so
old.
I am old. But anyways, I was in high school when this came out, and really, really, really like pre-Chordcast people, which I'm pretty sure is no one, at least would be listening to this now. If you are a long time listener, I'm pretty sure at some point we've mentioned before that Joelle and I briefly did a music podcast before this one. Yeah, and one of the guys on that podcast that will be unnamed, I've known him for many years. We actually went to high school together, and he introduced me to this band in 2007, and was like, because it's funny because they actually have a song called Bones, and not gonna lie, when I first heard Bones by Young Guns, before I heard the song, I thought it would be like a re-recording of that song. No. Yeah. Which is like Young Guns Bones is much better than City Sleeps Bones, but that's beside the point. Anyway, so this song is like high school me. It's like the type of stuff that I listened to back then, which it was 11 years ago, and that's a long time, and I can't believe it, but here we are. Yeah, they released technically 2 albums, but really only one was of any merit, which was the one that Not an Angel is on. And yeah, I always liked the song, but I sort of wanted to do a little bit of a throwback for you.
Yeah.
To give you an idea of what high school aged Chris listened to, because it was definitely like I was this nerdy kid that wore black t-shirts every day, and people probably thought was weird, but it was really because I was just like the secret like rocker dude.
Yeah, definitely secret rocker dude. It was okay, like I said. Yeah. I don't think I'd turn it off, but it was. I don't know. Do you think he sounds like the vocalist of Red?
Yeah, a little bit.
In parts,
yeah,
in very specific parts.
Yeah, I think it's because this came out like a year after Red's debut did. So it was sort of around that time where everyone is sort of sounding like the post-grungy rock music, which you don't really get anymore. So
totally.
Yeah.
What else did you give me, Chris?
Well, I think I should talk about one of your songs first before we go to my second one.
Tricky. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Chris's taste test songs.
They're so different.
So, the first one I want you to talk about is All or Nothing by Sylar, because I just want to get it out of the way.
Okay. I was not a fan of Sylar. Joelle knows this.
I'm upset.
I downloaded their album one time, and maybe the version that I got just had bad mixing or was not good quality because it just sounded like it was bass overload in my ears. This song, not bad, actually.
Really?
That
surprises me.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, I listened to the whole thing. I didn't skip anything. The chorus is a little bland. It's like the sound is fine, but it doesn't go anywhere. It's just like all or nothing, something, something, all or nothing, something, something. And then it goes into the rap, which the rapping verses gave me some serious Linkin Park throwbacks.
See, I think, I'm sorry. Are you done?
No, I was just going to say it sort of threw me back to like mid to late 2000s rock music, or new metal if you want to call it that. But yeah, it was a good song.
I can see this song being played at every single hockey and football game for the next 2 years.
Yes.
Like the first 30 seconds, I literally was listening to it. I was like, do you think they did that on purpose so that this would be played at the Super Bowl? I loved it, of course. I thought it was fantastic because I'm a Sylar loyalist, and that's where we're at.
I will say I'm kind of curious now to go back and listen to like proper CD quality Sylar and see if my opinion's changed on them.
Well, now that
because
you have
of the
Spotify.
Song. Yeah, that is true. Now that I've upgraded in life and have Spotify.
Now that you're with the 21st century.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So the album Help, I don't know if I can tease this, but the person who drummed that album will be joining us on Chordcast. They have since found like a full-time or a complete drum replacement. But I think that if you like All or Nothing, you're gonna like Soul Addiction is one of the songs out there. But I think you're gonna like Help.
I can see that, I guess. I know this song didn't feel as heavy as the stuff I remember from the first from Help, but
is Points of Authority a Linkin Park song?
Yes.
They covered it. Have you listened to it?
Yes, and it's rad.
Their cover?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you like Sylar. I just think you think you don't like Sylar.
Here's what I'll do. I will give you or I will listen to Help, and I will text you, and I will let you know. And if it's a good, or regardless of what the reaction is, you can post it on Twitter for everyone to see. Okay, good. Let me publicly humiliate and embarrass you. Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time. I know. Literally. Every time. Okay. So, what was the second song you gave me, Chris? It was No Faith, No Space by Kingdom of Giants. I will be completely honest with you. When you were talking about Sylar, I went back and re-listened to it because I couldn't remember it. I guess I was just a little underwhelmed. Okay. By the song, right? Yeah. Okay. I know that you like Kingdom of Giants. And it's a good song, don't get me wrong. But I will say it sounds kind of just like everything else I listen to, and I'm pretty sure that you have given me Kingdom of Giants before, and I'm almost positive I've said exactly the same thing, where it was like, It was good, but it's just like everything else I listen to. Mm-hmm. So
I will say that it does sound, parts of that song I thought sounded like Sylar and Starset hung out and they decided to make a chorus together. I don't know. Again, it's so weird because it's just like everything else I listen to, and every time I listen to them, I'm like, yeah, okay. And I never listen to them again until you mention something.
That's how I'm feeling about just metalcore in general right now. It's really hard to find. Like I've only really been into like the sort of harder rock scene because my taste was very varied, really up until probably 2015 ish, I guess. And now I'm sort of like trying to go back and see what I missed, and then get like current stuff, and like I can tolerate it a lot more now than I used to. But while I will say it does sort of have that underwhelming aspect to it, I had the same reaction. Like I was super hyped for this song, and I do think it's really good. It's just the song doesn't really do anything new for the genre, for the scene, or for the band.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really wrong with that, because the song still, like, on its own, like, disregard everything else, the song is really good. But it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't stand out. Like, if you put it on a playlist, you're like, okay, this is just another thing that I can run to, or if I'm having a bad day and I just need something loud, like that, it serves its purpose, but it doesn't do anything else beyond that.
Right.
I think Kingdom of Giants is one of those, in some of their songs at least, they have that sound that they fit in with everyone else, but they also sort of stand on their own. I don't think this is one of the songs that does that, but it doesn't like degrade anything. It's not like something completely different than what they were putting out before. Similar to another band that we will talk about here soon in our new music discussion. But yeah, it was good, but it's not, I will agree, it's not their best, but it's still a decent track.
Well, yeah. Also, I have breaking news.
Okay.
Crocs are shutting down all of their manufacturing facilities, and the CFO resigned.
Thank God. I'm
crying. This is catastrophic. This is the end of a generation, Chris. This is, oh my God. I'm shook. Okay, we're moving on, because that you didn't have the reaction that I was hoping. Have you ever worn Crocs?
No, and I have no intention.
Same, but I kind of was hoping that you had. I
No.
kind of want. Really? I'm a little.
No, I've not. My roommate, or my old roommate, wore Crocs all the time, and I made fun of him for it.
There's a girl, one of my friends. I worked with her in Housing and Residence Life, and that's literally all she wears. And I just sent her the article, and she replied with the gif of, I think it's from Breaking Bad, where it's like sobbing uncontrollably and he's crying in the shower. Mm-hmm. I honestly feel bad for her. She lives for Crocs. She either is going to get one or she has a Croc tattoo. Yeah.
I have no words for that, so let's just move on.
We're moving on. Okay, last taste test. I gave you Actual Pain by Good Charlotte.
Okay, so I vaguely remember Good Charlotte. They were...
What?
Yeah. Okay. Hang on.
Oh my God, Chris!
Hang on. Listen to where I'm going. So, they were popular when I was in middle school, and with Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous and blah blah blah.
If you were in middle school, come on.
Yes. And I remember like a whole bunch of people in my grade loving Good Charlotte, and they wore Good Charlotte shirts, and same with like Green Day and My Chemical Romance and that whole era.
The emo supremes.
Exactly. And I've since listened to some of Good Charlotte because I've tried to go back and listen to pop punk since I started getting to Blink-182 and that sort of era. I like a couple of Good Charlotte songs, but otherwise they don't click for me, I guess. Maybe I'm too old, I don't know. But this song sounds nothing like Good Charlotte, in my opinion. It's not what I think of when I think of the band. Like, if you would have said, Chris, this is Good Charlotte, I would have been like, no, it's not.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not a bad song. It's just very forgettable. I think it's one of, like, it has the word pain in the lyrics. It fits in perfectly with, like, mid to late 2000s type of stuff, like right around, like, pre-2010 era music, where everybody's writing about their pain and their depression and all that. I mean, people still do that, but it's
I was gonna say, not much has changed, bud.
Yeah, it's not as, like, popular, I guess, on the radio as it used to be. Like, you don't have Pain by 3 Days Grace playing every 5 seconds on hard rock stations.
That is such a banger of a song.
But yeah, it didn't really do anything for me. It's not, again, it's just one of those forgettable songs. Like, if I hear it on the radio, I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting, I guess, but it just does nothing for me. If I was a Good Charlotte fan and they said, hey, we are putting out new music, here it is, here's the first single, I'd be very let down.
See, I think it's so funny that you said it was forgettable, because it has been stuck in my head for weeks. Literal.
Well, I was wondering why you gave this to me, because I'm like,
my,
I'm
Spotify,
like, Good Charlotte,
like my daily playlist that Spotify makes,
mm-hmm.
and it was one of those things where it was like, I'm just gonna put this on repeat until I hate it forever. And it's been, I literally wake up and I'm like, and it's the first thing that pops in my head. Well, I think it's so good. I think it's so good. It's such a good song.
I was going to say that you already hate pop punk, so like, why is she giving me Good Charlotte? And this is not pop punk at all.
I know. It's so weird, isn't it? I
Yes.
love it. I absolutely love it. It's stellar. That's so funny that you were like, it's so forgettable. Oh, God.
It is.
It's not. Oh, my God. I really want people to listen to it and tell me that I'm right, because I know that I am.
It's like if this is the equivalent of, let's travel back to 2001 and Blink-182 is putting out a new album right after Enema of the State, and they say, oh yeah, here's our brand new, like, song, this is going to take over the charts, and they put out First Date, which is
I don't listen
one of
to
the
Blink-182, so that you're...
Well, I know it's falling on deaf ears, but the point is that it's it's a very, like, the lyrics are very, like, radio friendly, radio hit. That's what it was written to be, a radio hit, and that's what I feel like this song is. It's not anything that symbolizes the album that it's on, or that it will probably be on, or the band. It's just something that they can play on the radio.
I think it's so good.
Which I'd say 7 times out of 10 is going to be a forgettable song, or one that it'll get stuck in my head, but I'll end up hating it.
I'm genuinely shook. I thought you would like it.
No, and again, not bad. It's just not something I want to go back and listen to.
See, oh God, I can't right now. I remember living in Seattle. This was before we moved from Seattle, and my mom took my brother to it was EMP at the time, Experience Music Project, and it's this. They have like they had a music store, you know, because you'd buy physical CDs. That's what you did. And my brother bought that Good Charlotte album. I don't remember what it's called. What was their, like, debut album?
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Anyways, I remember being like a little peanut, and my mom took my brother to go buy that album, and we just listened to Good Charlotte forever, for years. It was awful. But yeah, wow. I'm surprised. I'm hurt.
I want to end our discussion with a shout out to a podcast I was listening to earlier this week, and they follow us on Twitter and just liked the tweet that I put out that we were recording.
Is it State of the Scene?
It is.
I have some words to say about them.
Okay, well, I was listening to their most recent episode because I wanted to get their thoughts on the new Beartooth song. And they were talking about how the metalcore scene, like there's not really a whole lot of new ideas being put into it. And I think that's an interesting topic in of itself. But I just, we were talking earlier about Kingdom of Giants and how they put out good music, but it's not really doing anything to, be new to or like make them stand out.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's just an interesting topic, but I just wanted to give them a shout out since they liked our tweet.
So they went to the Massachusetts Warped Tour, and
Yeah.
I was going to go to Massachusetts, and then literally like 3 days before I decided to go to New York instead. And so I was honestly bummed out because I really wanted to meet them. We were going to hang out, and we didn't, and I'm sad because that didn't happen. Because I think it would be fun. It would have been fun because their Twitter account is pretty much just satire of the industry, and I live for it. And so I was really looking forward to just like relentlessly making fun of people at Warped Tour with them.
Well, you know what? You can just do it the next time that Warped Tour comes to your area, right?
Hey, Chris, shut up. I'm still mourning. You're such a jerk. God. Did you ever go?
No.
See,
Because
that's
someone didn't
why.
invite me.
How is this my fault?
It's your fault. It is your fault.
I legitimately...
You invited
I
your mother instead of me. How dare you?
You would not have come to New York because you would have been like, Joelle, I have to move in like 4 days or whatever.
Well, this was before I found out I was moving, so
Dang, I really am a crappy friend. Yeah, I did bring... We should talk about that too. Since you mentioned that, we need to talk about that. Maybe in the next episode, but we need to talk about Warped Tour and how I brought my mom.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Okay, wow, we got totally rabbit trailed there, but yes, that was Taste Test. Awesome job, Chris. I think overall, pretty meh.
Yeah, it was a very lackluster.
Yeah, like on a scale
Test.
of 1 to 10, we'd both be like 5.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. So now we are going to be discussing new music that we missed during our little 3-month hiatus when the world turned upside down for Chordcast. So
And I just want to say too that this list was a lot longer, which is why we had to split it out between 2 episodes. And then when I was looking at it today, I was like, I really don't want to discuss half of these things. So
Yeah.
I just took them all.
well, half of them aren't relevant because either the album dropped or it just it's all
Or I
good.
forgot about it. So yeah.
Or we were like, we haven't listened to that since we made that list.
Yes.
We can't talk about that. Yes. Okay. So this list was much longer. I was actually surprised when I opened the show notes and it was shorter. So let's just jump right into it. I appreciate that I'm talking about most of these. So first on the list is Pray for the Wicked. Panic at the Disco dropped an album and we didn't have a chance to talk about it. And so this is our chance to talk about it right now.
Oh, it's Saturday night. I pray for the wicked on the weekend. Mama, can I get another amen? Oh, it's Saturday night. Swear to God, I ain't never gonna repent. Mama, can I get another?
I'm curious, Chris, did you listen to the whole thing?
Yes.
What did you think?
Oh, honestly, I probably should have given it more than one listen. But
Okay.
my gut reaction is, wow, it's short.
Right? Right.
I was actually, okay, so I was shopping for a new book to read. Because I was in one of those moods where I didn't want to read anything that I have, which is pretty much every day of my life. And I said, okay, I want to go to the bookstore and, find something that looks good and engaging. I'm going to go home and I'm going to read it because that's just the type of mood that I was in.
You should read the Selection series. Everyone should read the Selection series. It's pretty much The Bachelorette meets The Hunger Games, and it's awesome.
Anyways. No comment. Anyways.
Shut up, Chris.
When I was in going to the bookstore, as I was getting out of my car,
Yeah.
I had my Spotify on my phone, and I was like, I need something to listen to. So I went to the new releases, and I forgot that Pray for the Wicked came out. So I was
Rookie
going to
mistake.
the new releases, and I hit it. I was like, oh, that, great. I'll listen to this. I'll get like halfway through the album, buy a book. The album finished before I left the bookstore.
It's so short.
I just looked it up. It's 34 minutes, which that's really short compared to. I mean, it's not the shortest album I've ever listened to, but it just seems like it just goes by in a flash. Like it stopped playing on my headphones, and I hadn't even checked out yet.
I feel like we were like, that album was so anticipated, and we were all looking forward to it so much, and then it came out, and then it was like, oh, boom, you sneezed, it's over, and you're like, what the heck, man? Yeah.
Yep. What were your thoughts on it?
I loved it. I thought so. The Roaring Twenties. That's the song, The Roaring Twenties, off of the album. It had Vices and Virtues vibes.
This is my roaring 20s at all. Even though they roll me like a blunt 'cause I wanna go home. Roll me like a blunt 'cause I wanna go home. My roaring 20s.
And Vices and Virtues is probably, if not my favorite Panic album, it's definitely in my top 2. And so the fact that it just kind of had that funky Vices and Virtues vibe, I was so happy for. I really liked it as a whole. It was really weird. I didn't like the singles. The singles off the album are my least favorite songs on the album. All in all, it's stellar, but I just didn't like the singles, and so I was really nervous when it came out because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to hate this whole thing. And pretty much everything except for the singles, I absolutely love.
Interesting. See, I like the singles.
No. Mm-mm. I listened to the singles, and I thought, we are screwed. I was not looking forward to it.
Interesting.
But he made it happen. I think Roaring Twenties is what really saved it for me, just because it gave me so many feels. But yeah, I thought it was good. I don't think it's not my favorite Panic album, and I don't think it ever will be. But
it's a fun listen.
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone should check it out. But
I just looked up the length of the other albums, and only one of them was shorter. Which is Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die.
That's a quick album, too. That was a
Yes.
quick listen. Everyone kind of knew that.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that's a short album.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I was...
I don't have to fire you now.
Yeah, I didn't have any... I can't tell you a single song aside from the singles that is on it that I remember. I remember the one Hey Ma, I Made It or something.
Oh, yeah, he always has a ballad, and it's always just like, it just rips your soul out.
But yeah, it's a good album, but just I don't know. I'm glad I'm not a super hyped fan because I might have been disappointed in both the length and some of the tracks on it, but it's not bad.
Interesting. All right. There we go. One down. Boom. Keep going. You got to keep this momentum.
All right. So my album, or one of them that I want to talk about, actually, really the next to last album on this list. The rest are just songs. This is the self-titled album by MXPX.
I've always loved that line. I say it every time like tonight. It's Friday tonight. It hits me to fight. It's Friday tonight.
Actually, I have a story about this band.
Okay, I'm very curious to hear what it is because I've never, I know of the band only recently, actually. I know that they're technically Christian punk rock, which is weird, but not weird at the same time. I don't really know where I'm going with that, but anyways.
We like Christians and non-Christians on Chordcast. Don't worry.
But the only reason I know this is because the Blink 182 podcast that I listen to, titled Blink 155, mentions MXPX a lot. And I don't know. I've listened to. They have an album that's really popular, and it's just blanking off the top of my head right now. I don't remember what it is, but it's like really well known, and I've listened to that before, and I didn't mind it. But otherwise, I couldn't tell you another single song by this band. This was recently released, as in I think it was within the last month. It was on Kickstarter, actually, is how they funded it. So they released it independently, and it's not bad. It's not it's not going to light the charts up or anything like that. It's not going to be really probably anywhere near that just because it's independently released. But for and
it's punk.
Yeah, it's punk. It's part of it is more punk than pop punk. And I don't know. It's good. It's again not the best thing in the world, but I think from what I've heard, it seems like it's a solid a solid return for the band. I've spoke with one person that is a big MXPX fan, and he said he's obsessed with this album. That's how much he likes it. So, I mean, if it's being held in high regard by fans, and that's good. It doesn't sound overproduced. It doesn't have a raw sound, but it's not overproduced by any means for a punk record like Blink 182's California was. And I can see myself returning to this eventually and just putting it on as something to listen to. Don't think it'll be really anything beyond that, but it's pretty good. Surprised me at how much I liked it, because I had zero expectations going in.
That's good.
Yeah. At least check out the song "Let's Ride," which is the lead single from it. Has a video on YouTube. It's pretty good.
The Rockies ain't too far from here if we drive all night. The cold air will do you well in the mountain morning light. So let's ride.
I sat next to the singer on an airplane once.
Yeah, I think you told me that once.
Mike Herrera, yeah, he was playing. So he also does something for Goldfinger.
Yes.
Which is another punk band. And they were playing a show in Boise called Punk in Drublic. And and he had a Warped Tour laminate on. And it was during Warped Tour, like the Warped Tour season, and I was like, why does he have a Warped Tour? I wonder what band he was in. And I was kind of shook because I didn't recognize him. And so I was with my mom, and my sweet mother, old Cheryl, walks up to him, and he looks like a punk. Like, he's tattooed, and and she just goes, "Excuse me, young man, what band do you play in?" I was like, Mom, I died. I didn't know she was gonna do that, because I was like, I leaned over to her. I was like, "Ah, man, he's in a band and they're on Warped Tour, but I don't know what band he's in." And I was just talking to her about it, and she, "Excuse me, young man." So, Mike, if you're listening to this, that was me and that was my mom, and I'm so sorry because that was really embarrassing. But
that is actually amazing.
It was awful. Cheryl continues to just dominate. I swear to God, y'all. The Warped Tour story I have for you is incredible and life-changing, so we'll get to it at some point.
Can after this discussion, can I have just a brief aside about Goldfinger?
Sure, go for it.
Or do you want me to go now? Right now? Okay.
Yeah, we're doing XPX. Make it happen.
Okay, so people that follow me on Twitter know that for pretty much the past 2 years, I've been super into pop punk. Be it stuff from the 90s, from the 2000s.
Much to my dismay.
Yes, because you hate pop punk. Be it the 90s, early to mid 2000s, current stuff. I'm not all about everything. There's some stuff that just still I cringe when I hear it, but others, are fine. Goldfinger is a punk ska band from the 90s. You've probably all heard their song Superman or 99 Red Balloons, which is a cover. They have an album out called The Knife, which came out, I think, in either 2016 or 2017. John Feldman is the lead singer of Goldfinger, and he actually is a producer as well. He produces a whole bunch of stuff, like big names. However, he produced Blink-182's California, and is actually going to be producing Blink-182's next album. And California is a very divisive release. One, because it doesn't have Tom DeLonge in it, and two, it's very, 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 very poppy, and very, like, Mark Hoppus's vocals are very auto-tuned at times, and it sounds weird. It's a mixed album overall, but it just sounds weird. But anyway,
you're such an old man.
I am an old man, yes. And I'm only
Change is bad. Get off my lawn. God.
But anyways, The Knife on it has it's technically Goldfinger's what they call the supergroup lineup, which is John Feldman. He's the guitarist and the vocalist. They have a lead guitarist that was in Story of the Year, Philip Sneed, which is another good band. Mike Herrera on bass, and then Travis Barker on drums. And I like that album, even though it's very, very, very overproduced. It's just, I don't know. Something about it's catchy, and that's what I like about it. But it just makes me think, like, I have this feeling that, and nothing again, like John Feldman, if you're listening to this, I mean no ill will. I mean no ill will towards you or anything. In fact, had it not been for your producing job on California, I would not have been a Blink-182 fan. So props to you. However, it makes me think him like listening to this Goldfinger album and then listening to MXPX, and like they're same genre, like they're both punk and they're old school punk, but they sound so differently because one is heavily produced, the other one is not as produced, a little bit more raw, but up to modern standards. It doesn't sound like crap, in other words. But I'm just like, what is the direction that we're going in with mainstream punk rock?
I don't know, bud. And when I do know, I'll tell you.
And it's this, like, if you look at any other big pop punk name right now, they all have like the nasally vocals, which nothing wrong with that if you're a fan.
Oh, so many things wrong with that.
If you're a fan, nothing wrong with that. There's a couple that I don't mind, others I can't stand. But they all have like this really, I don't know, there's nothing, there's no meat left on the bone.
It's picked dry. Stop making it.
It's just, I don't know. And I think
just solved pop punk.
It's not completely John Feldman's fault or anything, but it's just when I think of punk rock, I always go back to that discussion, just because it's something I see a lot being in like the Blink-182 fandom, and yeah, it's weird.
I just don't like pop punk, dude. I know that's a big surprise for everyone. I just don't. I can't. It's awful. I went to Warped Tour and
old pop punk
narrowly
is
escaped
is better. Old pop punk is better than new pop punk.
Oh God, I keep wanting to talk about things from Warped Tour, but we'll just I'm gonna make y'all wait. Anyways, cool. And Mike is who I sat next to on the plane. He's the singer for MXPX, and he plays bass in Goldfinger, right?
Yes.
Something like that.
I need you to tweet that story, or at least like send me text of it, because I want to tweet it and send it to some people.
I thought you were going to say you wanted to send it to Mike Herrera, and I was like,
I mean, I would gladly add him in the tweet.
Oh, good. Awesome. Okay. Holy crap. So we all know the next thing that we're going to talk about, Joelle has no chill for. Okay. 21 Pilots. They're back. I'm so excited. Okay. First of all, they dropped Jumpsuit.
I crumble underneath the weight, pressures of
Have you listened to all the singles? All
No.
3 of them? What?
I didn't even know there were 3. I knew there were 2.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. So you haven't listened to any of them.
I've listened to Jumpsuit, but I don't remember it.
Thank God. He screams. Oh my God. He legitimately screams in Jumpsuit, and I lost it. I literally freaked out. It's so good. Okay, so 21 Pilots broke their little hiatus thing, and they put out Jumpsuit, and then they put out Nico and the Niners and Levitate. So Jumpsuit, first of all, blew my mind. Second of all, Nico and the Niners blew my mind. Third of all, Levitate blew my mind. So good. I can't. I just can't. You're gonna have to sedate me because it's, oh God, I'm so ready. Jumpsuit is awesome. I think that Tyler has been hanging out with Caleb Shomo a little bit too much because he screamed on the song, but whatever. I'm living for it, and it's such a mood. Nico and the Niners, here's the thing. It's not the strongest song, and it's not going to be the strongest song on the album, but it has the most clues. Chris, you're tuning out. I know this. It has the most clues to the whole Clancy conspiracy, which is a letter that was like cryptically released on the 21 Pilots website like a month or 2 ago, and everyone has been freaking out trying to figure out what's going on. And Nico and the Niners, if you're in like the 21 Pilots clique and you're all following the whole like Clancy and like the whole hiatus drama, then you know what I'm talking about. My guess is that the majority of you don't. So it's just this 21 Pilots thing. Levitate just dropped. I literally think it was like within the past, it was definitely this week. It may have been like 2 days ago. And it's so good. So the ending of Jumpsuit goes into the beginning of Levitate, and it's such a stellar song. I am so excited for this album. They announced a new tour, and they're coming to Boise, and I am so excited.
I'm just glad that I can stop hearing Stressed Out and Heathens all the time.
Yeah, no joke, dude. And Ride? Does Ride play on the radio
Yes.
all the time over there?
Yes.
It's literally, I don't think I've heard Heathens or Stressed Out for months. It's all Ride, and it's driving me crazy. We have a really good alternative station here. Seriously, stellar alternative station. And Jumpsuit came on the radio, and I was in the car with Maddie, who is also a huge 21 Pilots fan. And I look over, and Maddie is just straight up sobbing. I was like, I feel that. Like, I get it, Maddie. You're not alone. Yeah. Oh, God. I'm so freaking excited. And, wow. You're such a lackluster response, Chris. Come on. Get in here. Get in here.
I will have to go listen to the 3 tracks because I heard Jumpsuit by chance, and I didn't even know there was a second or third that came out. So
you're not gonna like Nico and the Niners, but I think that you're gonna like Levitate.
okay, I will give them an honest chance.
I know you will, because you're objective like that, and I'm not. I'm not objective. I'm not. A Mayday Parade song from the new album came on, and I didn't even listen to it. I just skipped it, and I was like, no, it's awful. Okay. Next up is kind of the 2 of us because weirdly enough we both like this band, which is wild to me. Beartooth just kind of popped up. I feel like they just kind of popped up out of nowhere. Like I knew that they were recording their new album, and then it was like, oh boom, new Beartooth, like right there. Chris, you have to say words when I stop talking. It's just the 2 of us.
But I just don't know. Can I go first? Because you're going to be super enthusiastic, and I want to end on a positive note at least, and not a downer.
Yes, you can go first.
So back in mid-July, we had some leaks of some songs, and I actually texted Joelle about it, and of course, she's not going to listen to it, but whatever. Actually, the first one that I heard was none of these 2. It's Infection, which if you haven't heard it because you're, a saint like Joelle is.
A music purist, I consider myself.
It's actually better than both of these tracks, so you're going to be probably pretty excited for that.
Taking over my body, so contagious. It's seeping into my blood, and I can taste it.
Bad Listener is good. I'd say it's on track with pretty much anything on aggressive. Infection is a little bit heavier than that, closer to disgusting, which is very pleasing to hear.
Spazzy?
Your cat is the worst.
He's our third host for this episode.
Okay, there you go. We're already starting a trend. I wonder if your cat likes Beartooth or not.
He does. We listen to them a lot.
Well, he has to wear that shirt all the time, so, or that hoodie,
Shut up,
whatever
Chris.
it is. So, yeah.
Spazzy, quit. Stop.
Just ignore him and he'll stop.
No, it gets worse if you do.
But anyways, Infection is a lot better. It's a lot closer to disgusting. Bad Listeners sort of on the same realm as Aggressive was. Disease, however, and then the other track that was leaked called Believe. I don't know how I feel. It's going to be very divisive. I told you.
Is that a new word you learned? You've used it twice.
What?
Divisive.
No, it's not. It's not a new word.
Is that your word of the week?
Well, sort of, yes. So one of my current jobs that I do is I run the teleprompter for our local news along with the camera. And so I have to read the same news stories 3 times a day because I have to follow along with the anchor. And divisive was in a story either at the end of last week or the beginning of this week, and it just is stuck for some reason.
Just can't let it go.
I can't. But actually, I texted you and I said about these songs. I said there are 3 songs I found, which at the time was Infection. I think it was Infection, Believe, and I can't remember if it was. I think it was Disease. Because I don't think I heard Bad Listener until it was put on Spotify. I said 1 is a heavy-ish single, which is Infection. 1 feels very pop-punk and bouncy, and 1 is sort of like the softer side of something from Aggressive. And then I said, this is going to be a very divisive album, I think.
No joke. I'm upset.
But yeah, this is not going to be... It's going to be like disgusting, but most of the time it's going to be something like Aggressive or even a little bit softer than that, and it worries me.
I am so stoked if it sounds anything like Disgusting. Disgusting is such a banger.
Well, I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Singles. I really liked the 2 singles that were released.
From this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're good songs, but it's just we'll see.
You are so pessimistic about it.
I have to wait for the full album. Like if it's going to be anything like Bad Listener or Infection, count me in. But if it's like Disease or Believe, which we'll eventually get to talk about for real,
right?
Yeah,
dude, I think it's gonna be dope. It's Caleb. It's gonna be dope. You gotta put all your worries aside about it not sounding like another pop punk album.
Well, we'll see.
Anyways, yeah, I'm stoked. I love Tooth. I think I'm gonna go see him down in Salt Lake when they come on that tour. Should be a good time. Okay, this one is really for you. This next one, because I don't care. So you take it away.
Do I have to?
Yeah, you do. You have to talk. Yeah, you do.
Can we just pretend I didn't write this down?
No, you did. It's there. It's real life.
Okay, did you at least hear the song?
I couldn't make it through. I abandoned ship. It was so bad. I couldn't.
Okay,
I wasn't strong enough as a human being.
So I gotta preface what I'm about to say with, I made this list of music that we were going to talk about in like beginning of July. And this song, I don't even remember when it came out. I just remember it was put on SoundCloud, and then it was deleted from SoundCloud, and then finally it was put on Spotify. It is Hallelujah by Shim Moore.
Can I get an amen or an hallelujah? Can I get an amen or an hallelujah? There's a time
And if you don't know who Shim is, you might not know because this is his first time putting a solo release out. He is the former lead singer of Sick Puppies. Now, Sick Puppies fan, I've been a fan of Sick Puppies since 2006, so I'm well aware of what he sounds like, what to expect. I got really excited about this because I'm like, okay, this is new music from Shim. Like, he's put Sick Puppies behind him. He's going to still be rocking the same
Which
good
is good
music
on him
before.
because Sick Puppies totally screwed him over.
Well, that depends on who you talk to.
I think Sick Puppies totally screwed him over.
But he is not doing himself any favors with this crap of a song.
It's so bad.
Like, I haven't listened to it since probably the day that it was finally put on Spotify. But it's not good. Like,
it's
Shim,
really bad, y'all.
I know you're listening to this podcast right now.
100%.
I know that you are a devout listener of the Chordcast. I need you to just say this is a one-off single, and then
just stop.
Like, make a new band, do something that's not this awful song. I don't even remember. I just know it was so bad. I don't even want to put it in my brain. I want to pretend it doesn't exist.
I couldn't finish it.
Well, I don't blame you. It's awful.
Yep. Couldn't happen. Good. Well, that was quick. It was terrible. If you want to know what you're talking about, I mean, you got the preview, but now you can listen to the whole thing, and it was just terrible. So let's all just say rest in peace to Hallelujah by Shim Moore and move on with our lives to another band that I have absolutely no chill for. Spazzy. Yeah, see? Spazzy, he's talking because he too has been listening to this nonstop. So when we wrote this down, all they had was singles out. They didn't have the album out, and the album has since dropped. Who I'm freaking talking about is the amazingness that is the band Def Havana. So, Chris, have you listened to Def Havana? Have you spent some time with them?
No. We had this discussion, I think, when Ritual dropped. I thought Def Havana was like this really heavy screamo band, and they're definitely not.
Yeah, for sure not. So, Def Havana, I found Def Havana because they actually came on this was back before I had Spotify Premium. And it was back when, if you didn't have Spotify Premium, all you had was Spotify Radio. And so I was listening to a Young Guns radio, and these guys came on. And so I have been a #1 Def Havana fan since then. This was literally years and years and years ago. I actually, their first US tour, they only played bars, and I wasn't old enough. And so I literally flew up to Seattle, hung out with them for 4 hours outside of a bar because I couldn't get in, and flew home. So they are literally some of the best musicians. And I will say that I think that James, their vocalist, is such a stunning songwriter. Just his lyrics and, oh God. So the album that they put out before this one is called All These Countless Nights, and they released a reworked version of it. I like the original version better. But All These Countless Nights had very, very much these kind of garage rock vibes, which is what they started as. I kind of call them like garage rock. Very, very British sound. And this album is not. This album is very poppy, and a lot of people were very upset about it. And usually I would be, and I'm not, because it's awesome. If a band is going to change their sound to a more mainstream sound, this is how they do it.
'Cause I wasn't honest, and I never wanted to admit that I was a liar. I'll never be holy in your eyes, but you'll never be either. 'Cause I know that underneath your smile hides a night you see you regret, and the days you can't forget 'cause you know me.
They still have his songwriting, which is just absolutely incredible, with a fresh, a more new sound, and it's so good, and I'm so happy with it. So the album is called Rituals. Every single song title off of that is one word, and it's like a lot of really religious themes, but it's so good, and I really, really, really hope that all of you guys check it out, including my terrible co-host who has not listened to it yet, who is dead to me now. it's so good. I just can't get over how I knew it was going to be amazing because of the singles, and then it just completely blew me out of the water. I had no idea what I was in for.
I'm going to surprise you, Joelle.
Oh no.
I started listening to this album based on your recommendation.
Please don't burst my bubble right now.
I made it until Ritual, which is the third track on the album, second full song because the first one's just an intro. And then, you're going to kill me for what I'm about to say, by the way, so just brace yourself. Because it's so out of left field. I got a Backstreet Boys vibe from them.
Stop!
No lie. I was listening, especially the track Center. I had, while you were sitting there talking, I had to put it on my phone to bring it up because I was like, what did I think of whenever I was hearing that first track? And I remember I was like, oh yeah, this sounds like the Backstreet Boys. So then what I did, I turned this album off because then I got in the mood to actually listen to Backstreet Boys, so I did.
You're actually the worst. I hate you.
I know.
You're fired.
So I'm gonna have to go back to the album and see, if it still holds up. But hey, Center sounds like a solid Backstreet Boys song.
I think you need to stop talking before I reach through the screen and punch you in the face, because that's not true.
Well, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, you get whatever vibes you want from it, but I'm saying that it's going to be it is between Def Havana and 21 Pilots. I'm guessing that one of those two will be my album of the year. It's probably going to be Def Havana. Unless Young Guns come out of nowhere. I miss Young Guns. Can we just talk about them
I
for
do
a minute?
too. Yes. I listened to Ones and Zeros the other day, and I forgot. I say this every time I listen to it. I forgot how good of an album it is.
I always go through my Facebook memories, like, every day. I don't know why. It's awful, because it wasn't a fun time for me a long time ago. But anyways, I had posted the Towers, lyrics from Towers, and I legit started crying. Like, I'm a crier, but it was awful. Like, that came on, and I was like, oh my god, this band. It was terrible. I miss them. And it was awful because John, their guitarist, I guess that somehow when they were switching labels, the You Are Not video got taken down. So John posted it and was like, hey guys, like, just so you know, this video's up again. And everyone lost it and was like, you guys are back. They aren't. I'm sad. I don't know how we're supposed to move on from that, because it's just...
We can't. We're now stuck in Young Guns limbo.
God, they're so good. I just wish they would come back. I miss them. Okay, I'm going to start crying if we keep talking about this.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Where do you see mainstream, not mainstream rock, but mainstream pop rock in the next 5 years? Because what I heard of Def Havana and like 21 Pilots, like, that's not like your standard, rock music that's played on the like mainstream pop radio, but it's still sort of classified in that genre. Do you think we're going to still see in the next 5 years this trend of that sort of sound, or will we migrate to something else?
Let me pull out my crystal ball. I mean, I think part of it, and this is not looking forward, this is looking backwards, so this is probably not helpful at all, and I don't know I'm going to say it, but I think that part of the reason that this is becoming such a trend, this pop rock, is, and I may be thinking of this too deep, but I really think it's mostly from the advent of social media and the ability for things to be easily consumed. And I think that's where that comes from, because I don't think any Def Havana album ever, except for like the first stuff when James wasn't their, he either wasn't their vocalist or wasn't their main vocalist, and they straight up screamed. I wouldn't say that any Def Havana song as of the last, 10 years is difficult to consume, but especially with social media, bands have to be able to captivate their listeners quickly. Otherwise, it just falls flat. And so I think that we'll continue to kind of move into a more poppy vibe, but I don't think that it's as catastrophically bad for heavy music as everyone thinks it is, because these bands are moving from more of a heavy sound to more of a lighter sound. I don't know if it's to be radio friendly. I think oh God, so many thoughts. So remember when we completely raked Rest in Peace, Linkin Park over the coals for One More Light?
Yes.
And we said it was pretty obvious that they moved to be more radio friendly. Like, yes. And again, not trying to speak ill of the dead. Please don't haunt me, Chester Bennington. But I didn't see a genuine switch from their sound from heavy to light with the intentions that that's simply the direction their band was going. With Death Havana, I think that really is, you can kind of chart it. You can chart them going lighter and lighter and lighter every album, and it's just simply the direction their band has gone. And I think that we'll continue to see that. And I think that we will continue to have people who get on Facebook and go, oh my God, you've abandoned your sound, you've abandoned your roots, you don't sound anything like, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, they'll keep talking like that and just completely, you know, throw a hissy fit. But the other thing that we're completely ignoring is all of the up-and-coming bands that are heavy. And so I think that's, like, we'll continue to see bands move in that direction. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's simply where we're at. Because I think that music has to be very easily consumed and quickly consumed. But just because a band changed their sound to something lighter doesn't mean that the whole genre is going up in smoke and we're all completely screwed and heavy music is flown out the window. I think that we will be fine, y'all. My little headbangers. We're going to be okay. Oh, Chris.
Yes.
I think I mentioned, this was a long time ago. I think I mentioned to you in some chat that I have a confession to make to you.
Okay.
And this is actually a confession to make to the world. To Chordcast. And this is heavy. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's like front page news, but I wouldn't be surprised if the New York Times bangs on my door. Chris.
Yes.
I just want to say that I like Thought Contagion by Muse.
Oh,
no!
My God.
I'm not kidding you. You guys had me listen to it, right? And I was like, this is crap, I hate this. So the next week, it came on the radio, and I didn't recognize it for what it was. And I was like, dude, this song rips. I was like, this is so good. And I didn't look up who it was because it was on the radio and I was busy or whatever. And it kept playing, like it was on the rock station or the alternative station. And I was like, man, this song is so good. So like after a week or two of listening to it and enjoying it, I was like, you know, what song is playing? And it was Thought Contagion by Muse.
Oh my God. I have no words.
And so, yeah. Chris, say something.
I have no words. I'm going to have some time to process this news.
Yeah, it was...
wow.
And not to say, and to just to show you how serious this situation is, I have actually listened to it on Spotify.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I heard it on the radio, I liked it, I found out it was a Muse, and I was like, it still rips, and I've listened to it on Spotify since.
Well, okay, so time to plug something. I released a mini episode of the Chordcast for Muse's song Something Human, which I'm not going to give it away now of what my thoughts were on that song, but go listen to it. We're going to be putting more stuff out like that in the future, so be on the lookout. But anyways, I remember saying that Thought Contagion was a decent song, far from Muse's best, but it was okay for what it is, much better than Dig Down. The fact that you like it must mean that Muse is officially sold out.
I thought you were going to say it means that we've turned a corner and Joelle is able to overcome her biases, but...
No, it just means they sold out.
Well, I'm okay with that. But yeah, I like it. So...
Well, that concludes the run of the Chordcast. We're officially ending the podcast now.
On a high note. On the highest note we'll ever reach.
No more episodes coming out ever again. Joelle and I are never going to be talking about music for the public ever again.
So, I'm going to listen to Something Human, and I'm probably not going to like it. Because
probably.
This is a very quick...
Okay. Don't listen to the one on Spotify. I want to let you hear the acoustic version first.
Why?
Because it's better than the actual song.
No, don't try to make me like Muse.
Okay.
I'm going to listen to Something Human on Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. I'm glad that's off my conscience because I've actually almost said it, mentioned it to you or tweeted something about it. And then I thought, oh my God, the world doesn't know. So, earth shattering. I know. I don't know how we're going to move on from this, but we're going to move right on into... You just tweeted it.
I know.
That was before... You tweeted it before this episode dropped, dude.
I don't care. No one follows me on Twitter anyway.
I'm embarrassed. I told you that. I wish I hadn't. Well, all right. We're moving on. We're moving on into what we're listening to, and then we're going to wrap this episode up. This dumpster fire of an episode where I admitted to something that we never thought would happen. Chris, what are you listening to?
I'm listening to a no surprise here, a mixture of pop punk and metalcore band called Settle Your Scores. I've actually not listened to them in about 3 weeks when I put them here on the show notes.
Excellent.
But they have 2 albums out. I think one of them is called Better Luck Tomorrow or something. I don't remember what the other one is, but they're not bad. It's, like I said, mixture of pop punk and metalcore, and it's something different. So
interesting. I'm trying to kind of imagine what that would sound like, and I'm coming up a little bit short.
I will send you a song, and you can just give me your brief thoughts.
Well, just tell me a song so that the people listening to this podcast can... Oh, you don't... I see. You don't know.
Oh, wait, no.
Because you didn't do your homework.
0 Hour. Okay, cool. I'm gonna check it out. Probably gonna hate it, but I'm gonna check it out. Okay. I am listening to throwbacks. So I think I've mentioned this approximately a million times on this. I love the Daily Mix on Spotify. It is so specifically catered to your vibes, your moods, everything. It has artists that you like at the very beginning and then songs that you don't know but are similar to the genre. So I've been listening to a lot of The Cab, listening to Old Panic, AFI, Silverstein, Escape the Fate, Plain White Tees. Always just, I feel like you can jam Hey There Delilah at any point in your entire life. Yeah, just some good old Joelle high school throwbacks. So that's where we're at. Interesting.
Yeah, I know. I know you're still stuck on the Muse thing, so I'm just gonna wrap this up.
I have one thing I want to say about Plain White Tees since you mentioned them. back in 2006, me and my mom and my stepbrother and my stepbrother's grandparent went to New York as part of this big, we went on a charter bus tour thing. That's a different story for another time. We went into the Virgin Megastore, which was in Times Square, which is no longer a thing. We went into the basement, and they had a whole bunch of CDs. My brother bought the album Stop by Plain White T's because he was emo. And awesome. I remember just seeing that album cover all the time, and never got into Plain White T's aside from that one song that is super popular and everyone knows. But
Hey There, Delilah.
Yeah. But yep, anytime I hear Plain White T's, I think of that story.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I love me some Plain White Tees. They're good. Total guilty pleasure. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Chordcast. I am your host, Joelle, here with my dude, Chris, and we would love your feedback on the episode. Like we said earlier, please leave us a review on iTunes. Email us, chordcast@gmail.com. You can find me on literally any social media, Joelle May, MAE. Chris, where are you?
I'm at The Curse of Chris.
Excellent. Yes, so like we said before, a regular recording schedule will be implemented. Chris is moving to Nashville. Woot woot. I will be not working crazy hours. Woot woot. And life will go on as we know it. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.